Hi, we're David and Sharon, and we just got back from a cruise tour with Princess aboard the Coral Princess ship. And we just wanted to share a few thoughts after having done this that might be helpful to you. All of these Princess, whether it was a Princess excursion or a Princess show on the boats, anything that Princess touched was really,
even
really
the
at a high level.
drivers of the buses, they tell you
everything.
stories from place to place.
They do a great job basically holding your hand through the entire process. Your luggage, your everything. You can't go wrong. You really don't have to stress about anything. They really kind of take care of everything. Princess was impressive.
Yeah.
First, as you considering going on a trip to Alaska, kind of think about what your priorities are. In our case, it was really about unique experiences, unique to Alaska, and more outdoor things. So as you're looking at different kinds of tours, there's ones that spend more times in cities. There's ones that offer you more opportunity to kind of see more of the wilderness or the outdoors. We chose that. Secondly, consider the length of time. In our case, it was 14 days, and I really think that was a really good length of time. 7 days on the boat, 7-ish days on land. And I feel like the 7 days on the boat was absolutely necessary. The 7 days on land, I think if it would have been anything less, we would have felt a little bit rushed. So I really liked the 14-day part of it. Next thing you have to decide is what order you're going to do it in. You can go from north moving south, which would be your land portion between, say, Fairbanks and Anchorage, Whittier, and then get on the ship and sail south from there back to either Vancouver or to Seattle, or you can do the vice versa trip. We did the south to north, Vancouver up, and then left out of Fairbanks to come back home. Another consideration is the airline, and that's only a consideration if you have bonus points on the airline you want to choose, but consider which city you want to fly into, and that's going to be somewhat dictated by which port you leave out of. In our case, we went through Vancouver rather than Seattle. You can fly into Seattle and drive to Vancouver, but just with airlines these days and difficulties with either baggage or delayed flights, we just wanted to go to the city we're going to leave out of. Keep that in mind because you're going to need a passport if you travel to Vancouver. If you're going out of the U.S., you need a passport.
And if you think you're going to get to see the city of Vancouver or Seattle, you have to go in a whole day before to be able to catch the whole city. We did not do that. That wasn't important to us. But if you do want to do that, go like a whole full day before. Yeah. Not just getting up and getting to the ship that day and seeing it also.
Yeah. And another thing that was real good about being there the day before is you get to the embarkation procedure as early as possible and you beat the crowd. So being there early to get on the ship does a couple things. You beat the crowds. It makes it a really easy process. And secondly, you get on board the ship, you get your muster station stuff knocked out of the way. You can go ahead and take advantage of the first meal on the boat, and it just makes a real relaxing.
And familiarize yourself with the ship.
Yes. Another thing to consider was what kind of room you want. In our case, being the Alaska trip, so much of this trip is visible throughout the entire process of sailing. I think it was really important to have a balcony room.
I love that.
Yeah. There's so many things that you're going to see, even while you're in your room getting ready or just relaxing, that if you're inside and don't have a view, you're just not going to see.
And that's okay. Don't not go if you have an inside room.
Balcony rooms are certainly a big plus, but it's not absolutely necessary. I'm glad we did it, and if I did it again, I would definitely get a balcony room.
Because sometimes you just go and sit on your balcony and relax and watch, and we saw the whales that day. We just happened to be there, so it's a perk.
Yeah, very, very, very. It's worth the extra money to do that. Another thing is you have to consider your budget, and where that comes into play is the time of year you go. So we went through the July 4th, the end of June, July 4th through to the 9th of July. Mm-hmm. And so they have this thing called the peak season and the shoulder season. And so you can kind of slide your trip along in there with what you feel like is best for you. The only thing about if you don't go during peak season, you're more likely to run into issues with weather. It's either going to be a lot colder, and there's going to be some things that you might not be able to do as easily outside of your room on the outdoors on the ship. and things like that. So peak season is great, but if you choose to go a little early or a little late, just be aware that there's going to be, you may want to pack differently if you're going to be in a colder time, so you can do as many things as possible outside comfortably. So that's pretty much wraps up choosing your cruise, I think. Anything else you can think of?
No.
Okay.
So now that we're getting ready for our cruise, before you ever sail, you want to do several things. You definitely want to watch a lot of videos. There's plenty on YouTube about what to do before you ever get there. One thing that everyone had told us to do was get your medallion mailed to you. It didn't matter because we got to the port early and we made sure that we got there. Somebody had told us, oh, it takes you about 3.5 hours to get through customs, getting your medallion and all that. We got to the ship at about 10:30 or 11 in the morning. We literally walked through the lines. It took us 35 minutes to get through with our medallion, and it all was great. So that's up to you whether you want to get it mailed to you. Also, if you're going to do the land cruise also, they give you very specific instructions about your luggage. And it's, if you're coming from south to north, when you get off of your cruise, they send one of your pieces of luggage to Fairbanks because you're not going to need it anymore. You're going to put away things like your formal wear, your dress shoes. You're not going to use those on land at all.
Dirty clothes.
Dirty clothes, any trinkets and souvenirs that you've bought. You're not going to need those. You can send it to Fairbanks. So,
which is your final destination.
Yeah, before you get on the plane to come back. Another thing about luggage is buy AirTags, put them in the lining of your luggage. It saved us when we got to Fairbanks because, and when we got to the airport, we didn't have our luggage. And so the guy was like, well, let's start doing a search for them. I was like, hold on. And I looked at my phone and I said, they're in this room at the hotel. I can tell you where they are. And he goes, I'm hopping in my truck. He went and got them. Had them back in about 10, 15 minutes. And so it saved the day, because if not, then they would have had to do a search. They don't know where these things are. They would have had to, like, you know, go start figuring out. And so that helped.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about luggage, I don't go on a trip anymore without packing cubes. And we can link these in the description. So we love these because whenever you get to your room, instead of unpacking and put all your socks in this drawer, we just take these out and put them, there's a cabinet and there's drawers and everything. You can just lay them in there. So we love the packing cubes. It's a must for me. And I have like black for him and turquoise for me so that we just know whose is what.
So you may do one with like shirts, socks, and underwear.
Yep.
So you'll have 3 or 4 different ones. It just makes it real easy to...
And some people put a whole outfit together. You know, like, this is what I'm gonna wear Monday. This is what I'm gonna wear Tuesday. Also on that, watch a lot of videos about packing because you don't need to overpack. We brought a lot of things that we didn't ever use. You know, 4 or 5 pairs of pants because it's cold. You're not going to, you know, need as many as you think. You can mix and match layers because you're outside on the deck and it's freezing and you have your raincoat, but yet whenever you go back inside, you're taking off because it's warm inside. Yeah. So watch videos. They have tons of those. Oh, also check the don't bring list. You cannot bring like heating pads, surge protector strips. You can bring just the ones where you can plug in like 4 or 5 different charger blocks. Yeah. So you cannot, there's certain things that you can't bring and they will confiscate them. Water resistant shoes, gloves, scarves, the hat. And if you bring a baseball cap for your raincoat, it's great because when you're outside on the deck and it's raining, the hat will keep, the brim will keep the rain from coming in your face. So the rain experiences were not downpours like we're normally used to. When we say it's raining, it's usually more like a misty rain. So it's not a
torrential downpour.
Also, they have these little magnetic hooks that we thought, why do we need these? The walls are magnetic, and you can just put these little hooks up. So when you walk in your room, we put our raincoats, our scarves, our lanyards for your medallion, which the medallion is great. We'll talk about that later. But you just put all that right there on the wall because they don't have a lot of hanging spaces for things like that. And that helped a lot.
Yeah. And there's a little closet to hang your clothes in, but you don't want to put your wet raincoat in amongst that. So you just have a little hook on the wall, and you just take your raincoats and hang them up there, and they dry out. Next time you're ready to go out, they're ready to go and dry.
Yep. Don't forget your binoculars. You're definitely going to need those. Bring cash for tips. Not on the boat. You don't use cash really on the boat, but on the land, there's definitely need for tips on the
which
land
might
portion.
include either eating out, but you can use your credit card for that. But you also need cash for tips for your excursions, your guides, and things like that.
And check the Wi-Fi packages. There's like a drink package, Wi-Fi package all put together and everything. We didn't even get the Wi-Fi package. We were like, we're just going to put our phones away. And because of the Medallion, you have an app that you run off of their Wi-Fi, which is free. And
It's just local on the ship.
It's just local
Wi-Fi.
on the ship. It's able to keep up. I can find him on the ship. That's one really cool thing, that the app is wonderful. There's these TV monitors where you touch and you can it's very interactive, and you can find everything about the ship.
I will say on the Wi-Fi package, we really didn't miss it. We have Verizon for our cell carrier, and it was fine to be in Canada. It didn't require any kind of special package or anything. So that worked out fine. When you are in a port or a city that has cell coverage, out on the open water, there's no coverage. But it's
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't miss it at all. So
yep.
So that may be something that is important to you. And if it is important to be able to stay in contact with family or business or anything like that, then yeah, the Wi-Fi package would be necessary. But other than that, we didn't miss it, I don't think.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what to do or thoughts while you're on the cruise.
So when you get on the cruise, it's easy to do your muster station. You just can do it on your phone. I think we sat on a little chair and watched the muster station video. Then you go to the muster station, and they can tell that you've watched it, and you check in and you're done. And so it's quick and easy now.
One of the easy things to do when you first get on the ship early. One of the benefits of being on that ship, as soon as possible, it's easy to knock those kind of things out. Let's talk about making dinner reservations. I had trouble going online and trying to make our dinner reservations. So let me explain. You can eat lots of places on the ship, but if you want to have a predetermined time that you're going to eat each night at a certain restaurant, you have to make reservations for that. Well, I couldn't do it online, so as soon as we got on the ship and did our muster stuff, kind of the things we had to do first, one of the first things we did was to go to the restaurant where we wanted our reservation and talk to them, and they took care of it very easily for us. So I don't know if it was a hiccup in the software or what. We just
that's really the only hiccup we had.
Yeah, it just didn't work, but that was easy.
Go ahead and make your reservation. We chose the 5:00 because the shows start at like 7:30. We wanted to have time to eat dinner and get to those shows. And don't feel like you're going to have to be there. If you don't show up, they just give you a reservation to somebody else after like 20 minutes or something like that. And there are two on this Coral. There's two different restaurants. They're right above each other. And one, you have reservations. One, you can just show up, and you might have to wait a few minutes, and you can do that if you want the sit-down dinner. And then they have specialty dining, which we didn't choose to go to. We were so busy, we just needed to get to go eat and get on with our activities. And then you could always do, like, we usually did the buffet for breakfast because we wanted to hit it and go.
And for lunch.
And for lunch, too.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the hamburger station, the pizza place, and the ice cream place. And so there's tons of different international cafe, which we never ended up stopping at. But there's just a lot of different places to eat. So go ahead and make your reservations. They're there if you want them, if not. And we ended up meeting a great couple that sat right next to us. And whenever you come to dinner, you've just done all your excursions, and they were asking, like, well, what did y'all do today? And we asked them, what did they do? And we became friends, and we kind of hung out on the cruise.
Yeah, they were a blast.
Yeah, so, hey, Yvonne and Ray. But, so do that where you can, have a sit down dinner and, get to know some people around you. It's great. You'll meet all kind of people from all over the world.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So every morning we would get up and go to our TV, turn it on, and watch the director of activities, and they have it laid out for you every morning of what's going to happen that day. They leave an itinerary on your bed every day. Circle the things you want to go to, kind of map out your day. It's okay if you change up things, but also, I guess you took a picture of it, and so we could carry it all with us or put it on your app. Oh, I think it was on the app.
So the app,
that's right.
The Princess app allows you to go and highlight or star the activities that you want to be sure to attend. So on your phone during the day, you can kind of go back and refer to it. Oh yeah, we've got this, this, and this at these times.
And you forget. You're like, what were we going to do?
Yeah.
So just keep up with that little itinerary in the app.
It's crazy. There's so many activities ongoing at all times. You can't, it's impossible to do them all. So you just got to pick the ones that you most want to do, and you just make as many as you can.
And speaking of that, go to all the Naturalist Talks. There's somebody who comes on board, and it's excellent. They teach you about all the wildlife that you're going to see, and that prepares you to be able to find the wildlife. And so you learn a lot about how to find the wildlife.
Yeah, they do a really good job of explaining things to you before you get to it, so that when it comes time to see what it is you're there to see, you already know a lot about it, and it helps you appreciate it more as well as find it.
Yeah, and they're super excited about it. They
Yeah,
talk to
really
you after.
good,
You
really
can go meet
interesting.
with them, ask them questions. Very, very nicely done.
Yeah. Find out what perks you like. So there's certain things that they don't really come to you and offer them to you, but they're available. Like if you want nice bathrobes.
Get those.
Yeah, just ask them. Ask your room attendant, can we have some robes? Some blankets.
Yeah, those were nice. We saw those people on the decks having these little black and red blankets, and I was like, oh, what are those? And so
there's a couple of things that you can get. You just have to ask for. One of the things you may hear is on the day you're going to be doing whale watching, go out early in the morning and kind of lock down your spot on the deck.
At 4 a.m.
Where you're going to watch the whales. That is totally unnecessary. Yeah. You can see whales from your room, but it's much better to be outside on one of the higher decks where you can move to the starboard side or port side of the ship to be able to see.
And people are always moving.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to sit right there and see.
But for the whales, the naturalist, if they're seeing whales, sometimes from the bridge, they will announce over the ship, there's whales on the starboard side or the right side or the left side. And so if you're up on the decks, you can quickly move from one side to the other so you can see as much as possible. So, but you don't need to get out there and lock down a spot, because a spot's not where you want to be. You want to be wherever the whales are so you can move around. The talks from the naturalists on board are really, really good. And for that matter, really all of the productions, especially the big theater productions, whether it's a play or a musical or the big productions that they do each night, the magic shows, they're just done at such a high level. It was amazing, the talent level of all the productions that they did on the Coral Princess.
We were so impressed with Princess.
Yeah. Backing up just a second to the packing, another little helpful thing, because these rooms are small, you can put and store your empty suitcases under your bed to get them out of the way. And another thing is, when you first get to your room, before you unpack your suitcases, it's a great time to take a picture of your room while everything's nice and clean, and
you don't have unmentionables hanging out everywhere. So yeah, do that. Just have in your mind that you have to be flexible. Our friends were going to take a helicopter excursion, and they got into, I think it was Skagway, and they got to their excursion and it was canceled. So they're like, because of the clouds and rain and
So just be aware that you may make plans, then they may have to be changed. So have a kind of a plan B. Like if you have for each excursion, if you can think of a reason it might be canceled for weather or whatever, then just have something else that you think of. For another thing is, like our first stop with Ketchikan was our shortest day in port. There was time for really just one excursion, although we would love to have done two at that excursion. But there was just one. So kind of look at the amount of time that you have at each port, and then figure out from there how many excursions or what excursions you have time for and want to do.
Also, excursions, you can book excursions on the ship or with third parties. Do all of this before you get to the ship. You want to plan this out before, and you have until like 24 hours before, I think it is, to cancel.
At least with Viator.
With Viator. That's who we used, and we love Viator. But you want to...
Well, so Viator is an app. It's a third party. You'll get a lot of warnings about if you go on your excursions with third party, that they may not make sure that you're back in time for your ship to leave, but we did not have an issue with that at all. All of these tour groups, they understand this process. They know that you need to be back on your ship in time. So you just let them know which ship you're on, what time your ship leaves port, they're going to have you back. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The nice thing about a third party like Viator, Viator, we'll link it down in the description, is they usually offer a lot more excursions at each port than what Princess does through Princess. And in addition to that, they also are generally probably anywhere from a half to 75% of the cost of doing it through the ship.
And there's not as many people on
and there's usually not as many people. And we've done Viator all over the world, and it's been phenomenal. So yeah, we don't anything from Viator. It's just we think it's a really good deal. Yeah. So we did all of our excursions through them.
Another thing that we did every night, we came in and just on our phones, we just spoke into our notes what we did that day, because you're going to forget. You're going to go, oh, I'll never forget this. And you're going to get back and you're going to say, well, was that Thursday or was that Friday? When did we do that? What town were we in? Because it kind of blurs together. Mm-hmm. So every night we just wrote a little journal, highlighting, the main things of that day. And that helps you when you get back, especially with your pictures and kind of coinciding those with, when you want to post anything. So you'll go, oh, wait, what day was that?
Another thing is on excursions, there is one of the most famous excursions in Skagway is the railroad. And we didn't do that because we were going to be taking a train ride from Whittier up to Talkeetna on our land tour. So we thought, well, let's not pay for an excursion on the railroad. We're going to be on the railroad anyway. And in retrospect, it may not be the best way to do it. The railroad trip in Skagway is it's a very much relaxed, narrated, very nice
scenic
thing that we didn't do.
Our friends did.
Yeah, our friends did, and we just rented a car and did it ourselves, which has its own advantages. You kind of go along the same path. We could look across the gorge and see the railroad tracks, so you kind of see the same thing. The nice thing about the way we did it is you could stop when you wanted to. There were bears crossing the highway, so we stopped, took pictures, and we could stop and just enjoy the scenery where the train just goes. But you have to drive. And so the train ride is more relaxing, I guess, because they're just taking you along and the narrator tells you everything. The disadvantage is you don't get to stop at the scenic places and take pictures and kind of spend your time as you would like to. That's just one example. So you have to kind of think through all the excursions and what's most important to you. Really, on this entire trip, the things that were most important to us were the things that were uniquely Alaskan. Like we didn't really, we didn't really care to tourist the cities too much, because cities are cities and they're mostly kind of touristy anyway. So we chose to spend our time doing the uniquely Alaskan things. And
you had time to go run through the little towns.
Yeah, we did a little bit. Yeah, we did a little bit. But we spent the bulk of our emphasis was on doing things that were unique to Alaska that we couldn't do somewhere else in the world.
And they're not hard hikes.
Yeah. This is a fantastic trip. I guess our expectations were kind of medium on it. Maybe mine was in some cases a little low, but this trip blew everything away. It was way more than we thought. And there's one specific excursion that was the highlight of our trip, and it was a kind of a last minute decision to do it, but I would highly recommend it. When we got to our land tour portion in the town of Talkeetna at the Mount Mckinley Wilderness Lodge. From there, we did the airplane flight tour around Mount McKinley and land on the glacier. And it is expensive, but this is one of those bucket list trips for us. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, let's do it. We're never going to be back here again, probably. Let's take advantage of it and just do it. And we did. Unbelievable. It was phenomenal.
And I had no desire to do that. And it was the day before he booked it. I was scared, and then there's no reason to be scared. It's the easiest flight. There's no bumps. He landed easily. You're on this beautiful glacier. We thought it would be like freezing. It was only 5 degrees cooler up there than it was in town. And I think the guy was wearing a short sleeve shirt that was a pilot. And so it was phenomenal. Do it.
Yeah. Anything else? Oh, so just a little for the foodies. Tracy's Crab Shack or whatever it's called in Juneau?
Tracy's Crab something.
In Juneau. It's
Just
right.
get
It's
off the
right.
boat.
Yeah, it's right close to the boat. The crabs were phenomenal. So they have the big Alaskan king crabs that they catch in season, and then they freeze them, and then they're available to cook them for you, and you can eat those. And I'm sure those are
they're great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But the ones we got were ones that every day they have some crabs flown in, and so we got those, and they were unbelievable.
And
Really, really good.
that was Juneau, and you have to fly everything into Juneau because it's actually on a little island.
Yeah, there's no rivers in
Yeah,
it.
it's the Alaskan capital. We didn't know we were on a little island, but the crab was great.
Yeah, crab is great.
Yeah.
And if you're in Alaska, you just got to do.
You just have to
crabs.
do it. So yeah, we ate that. We shared a little. I think it was like a 2-pound thing. And then we got on the boat and finished eating. So you could do that.
So after the cruise, the land tour portion started. And again, that started with a train ride. Then you do a bus ride. You go to the Mckinley Lodge. And then you go to the Denali Wilderness Lodge. Both of these lodges are princess-owned lodges. So the Mckinley Lodge was much more remote. And we liked that. It's also the closest you're going to be to Mount McKinley. And it's like 45 miles from Mount McKinley. So over the back deck, because you're on a mountainside or hillside, you can look out over the deck, and on clear days, you can see the entire Alaska mountain range, and Mount McKinley just towers above it all. Beautiful scenery, beautiful place. That was our favorite of the two lodges.
They have a tree house there that you can go up in, and it was featured on Tree House's show or whatever. And so that was a great view of Denali from there.
The other lodge is at right next to the entrance of Denali National Park, but it's more in town. It's, I guess, right across the street from the lodge, or shopping and all the tourist shops where you can buy your souvenirs and such.
It's a little more town-like.
Yeah, it's a bigger resort. It's probably quite
and all
a bit
the
bigger
cruise
resort.
ships, like Holland, their resorts right next to it.
Yeah.
So you can shop within your little lodge area.
The very end of the tour in Fairbanks, one of the coolest other excursions. It's just, and it was not something that's an extra that you pay for. It's just part of the deal. A riverboat cruise, and we had heard, oh, it's so cheesy. It's not. It was very well done. I mean, you don't go into it thinking, they're going to show you all these neat things. They do. Don't think that all of it was just a happen chance. All this stuff is kind of staged, and you go into it.
Show up.
Yeah. Some wildlife show up. But everything's kind of staged, but it's very informative. It's very well done. It was really a surprising excursion that we did. That was really a lot of fun, and we didn't expect that. So, it's a great trip. So I hope this has been helpful. Things for you to think about, consider if you're considering the trip, and if you're going on the trip, things that might be helpful for you. We had a great time. It was a really one of our favorite vacations. So
yes.
Thanks for tuning in and watching us, and good luck to you.